It all happens in people's heads. And this is something that can be difficult to keep in mind in the world of magic, where the onus so much is put on sleights, invisible or not, your words, gimmicks that go unseen. These are all ingredients. We present them, we share them with people, and ideally we present them clearly enough that they assemble them in a certain way that we want, put them together in their heads. But at the same time, you've got to be careful, because you can't force people to believe in things. You can't convince them necessarily to a point where choice is not an important part of the belief process. People choose to believe. And one of the greatest secret assistants you'll ever have is the imaginations of other people, which is why I've learned this in so many different, with writing books and lecturing and cartooning and things, is we need to leave room. You want to be clear, but you also want to be implicit rather than overly explicit. It's amazing how when you're too explicit about something, rather than welcoming people in, you can keep people out. And undeniable is something I've been working on for a long time, tweaking it, this and that. Trying to, as Di Vernon said, get rid of slights. Get rid of the things that not only prevent people from, get rid of the things that consciously or unconsciously prevent people from really buying in to what you're doing, but also preventing you from buying in to the effect itself. And it's an important thing about undeniable. Undeniable is very easy. It's very, very easy on a technical level, on a mechanical level. On the process, it's simple. You're going to love how practical, how foolproof the method is, okay? And everything I claim in the preview is, in fact, true. They have 100% free choice, okay? 100% free choice of the card they touch. They have 100% free choice of the shape they choose. They have 100% free choice of which invisible magic marker, what color they want to use, okay? So keep those things in mind, because when you're performing this to people, it's key that you focus on just a handful of the aspects of the trick, both, again, explicitly and implicitly. And these free choices, focusing on these free choices when you're performing it, when you're presenting it, when you're sharing it with somebody. Because, again, this is something that's really changed in magic, and I've tried to really focus on this for years, is I try not to perform or even present. This isn't just semantics. I try to share my excitement about this. Share the moment with people, which means sharing, not just presenting a one-way process. It's a give and take sharing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a cliche, but it is true. It's a beautiful thing, sharing. So keep those elements in mind, that you can't force people to believe, but that undeniable is one of these things that's pretty much undeniable not to believe into. Particularly now, one other thing I'll leave you with, and then we're going to jump right into the preparation of this, and how you can go out very soon and freak people out with this just crazy mentalism trick, this prediction trick. And that is that I have found in magic and performing that the sharper the teeth, the more gently you need to present it. And this trick has very sharp teeth. Again, I created it to be, the details are crazy. Okay, doing only one thing, being able to predict one free choice, spread out the cards, touch a card, I predicted it. That's, it's just so fair. Okay, that's crazy. The markers, crazy. The colors, crazy. All three together is just, it's almost unfair. It's a very intense trick. So I encourage you to, when you present it, consider or share it. Share it in your version of a slightly breezy fashion, in a casual, slightly offhanded, gentle. Be gentle with this. Not because you're going to hurt people, but because people resist. It's very common in all kinds of marketing and persuasive communication. People resist, and you don't want to trigger resistance from people. You want them to gently trust you and welcome it inside and give it a place at the table, and they sit down. And by then, of course, it's way too late. By then, once they let it come inside and sort of set up shop in their head, it is undeniably impossible. To perform undeniable, you're going to need an envelope, a double-backed card, okay? And you'll find that the double-backed card matches the back design of the approximately half pack of cards that you also received with this, okay? You're also going to need a matching half deck okay? Ordinary, different, mixed up cards, okay? And you want to remove, okay? You want to remove whatever card is matching. So in this case, 8 of hearts. I've gone through and I've already removed the 8 of hearts, okay? So this is what I need. Now, there's some one-time setup with this, and you kind of can make a choice. There's a few different options here, but in this instance, what I'm going to do is because you could do, instead of doing it with 4 markers, you could use 5. Okay, you can use 4 or 5 markers, and I'll show you the options. But in this case, I'm going to assume I'm using 4 markers. So what I'm going with is a black, a gray, a purple, and a red, all right? So yeah, you need to obviously decide which colors you want to use for this one-time setup, okay? Now, to set up this half pack, so this is a half pack of forcing cards, called forcing cards. They're all matching, in this case the 8 of hearts. Yours might be a 6 of diamonds, or 2 of spades, or 5 of clubs, whatever. What you'll find is whatever you receive, it won't be face cards. You won't get jacks, queens, or kings, because they wouldn't show the markings as clearly against the court cards, the patterns. So you're going to have spot cards, what they're called. You're going to get some spot cards, okay? Now, what I've done here to prepare them is I'm going to go with star, okay? What I've done here, let me break this down for you here, is I've got, boom, 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 we'll do that, there we go, and these are my triangles here, these are my hearts here. Now if you're starting to think, oh, well, that's how he does it, don't you wait. I'm just beginning to show you how awesome this really is, okay? So, you're going to find you get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You're going to get 25, 30 cards, somewhere in there, okay? Now what I'm going to do here, what I've done, is I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go with 5 piles. I'm going to put this aside. So I'm not even going to use some of the cards. Okay, I'm going to put those aside for now. Okay, I won't even use them. So I've written a heart on each of these 4 cards. Okay, because I'm going to go with 4 colors. All right, I've written a heart, a black heart, a gray, purple, and red heart on each of these 4. Okay, then I've done a square in 4 different colors on each of these, and I've done a star in 4 different colors on each of these, and I keep it's not a huge deal, but I keep the order as well: black, gray, purple, and red, okay, for my circles, and then black, gray, purple, red for my triangles. So notice, I could have gone, rather than with 4 colors and 5 cards each, what I could have, or 5 shapes each, is I could have gone, if I wanted to, for 5 colors and 4 shapes each. Okay, so you've got some wiggle room insofar as that. So I've got these all set up here like this. Now I add to those, grab the remaining, my matching half pack, okay? Got my half pack here of all the different cards, okay? And that starts like this, okay? So this looks like just a full deck of cards, right? Front and back. But the top half, like I said, is all the cards that are truly different. And then the upper half, or the lower half, in this case, face up, are all my 8 of hearts that are all prepared. So I have that. I've got my double backer card inside the envelope. And that is my one-time prep. Having prepared the cards, I'm now ready to perform this crazy illusion. You start by introducing the envelope. You say, this is my prediction. I'm not going to tell you what's inside here, but this is my prediction. And to make sure no one thinks I'm going to change my mind or pull a fast one, I'm going to leave it right here. Now you either put this on someone's hand, okay? Or you can lean it up against someone's drink. Or you could have somebody sit on it. Or you could have somebody put this in their pocket or in their purse, okay? But you start by introducing this and really emphasize that this is your prediction. You don't mention there's a playing card inside. You say, this is my prediction. I'm going to leave this right here, okay? You start. Say, look. If I spread out the cards and have you touch a card, I could psychologically control you, because there might be a special arrangement of the cards. Who knows, right? So instead, I want to do it face down. I'm going to spread out the cards, and I want you to touch any one you want, okay? Now, notice what I've done. First, by showing all these different cards right off the bat here, people are convinced after the fact that I showed the entire pack. So it's a nice way to start. But rather than just saying, look, you can see every card is different. I mean, all that does is raise the questions. One could say, well, what about these cards down here? You're only showing us some of the cards. So you need to draw attention to the variety of cards without doing it too explicitly. which is what's great about saying, now, I could have you touch one of these cards, but maybe they're in a special order, okay? And so let's do this. Let's do it face down. That way there's no way I can psychologically control you with the colors. Now, notice that when I spread out the cards, they really can touch any card. They can touch this one, they can touch this one, they can touch this one, they can touch this one. But obviously they need to touch a card in the top half of the deck. One of my force cards, right? So, a couple of pointers on that is, first, sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, go ahead, touch a card. And I'll just spread out the top 4 or 5 cards. That way, if someone wants to be, not difficult, but if someone wants to dig a little deeper, there's plenty of room for me to then go down there like that. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another thing I've done, if I'm dealing with somebody, with a drunk person who may have been a bit difficult so far, is I'll say, look, let's try something here. Rather than have you touch one of the cards and they're all facing up, and this way maybe I can control it psychologically with the order, I want you to come on over and lift off, I don't know, about a third of the cards. And they lift off about a third of the cards, okay? Now, it's a free cut. They can cut wherever they want. And then from these cards, then I say, now I want you to touch any card from one of the ones you touched. Okay, so notice now I've really controlled the situation. We have a free choice. This trick is all about free choices. There's a free choice of where they want to cut, and now, now they literally can go back and forth. They can touch the bottom card, the top card, any one of these cards, okay? Free choice. It's all about free choice, and because you have so much free choice, I don't want to forget to mention this, because there's so much free choice in this trick of the card, of the colors, of the shapes, emphasize to people they can go back and forth whatever they want. In my performances, when I'm doing tricks where there's truly free choices and they can change their mind, I really focus on those so that it bleeds over to my other tricks and gives my whole show this air of they could have touched anything, they could have done anything. There were nothing but free choices throughout the whole show. Okay, so I spread out the cards. Let's say they touch a card. Boom. I say, are you sure? They say, do you want to change your mind? You're sure? Let's say they don't change their mind. So I square up the cards. Now notice, I've outjogged the card. I've outjogged it for about a third, maybe almost a quarter. That way what I can do is I can immediately show them the card. And everything's fair, okay? Boom. And I just tip it up and show it to them and slowly square it in. And they never, ever have any sense that there might be a mark on the card, okay? So this allows me to use my forcing pack without exposing the prep of all the markings on the cards, okay? So boom, touch any card they do, I show it to them, I square up the cards like this, okay? So fair. Now, what you might want to do is give the deck a little bit of a casual false cut, just to kind of keep things flowing, because you don't want to give it a sense that now that they've touched the card, you want to control or get a sense where it is. So it's nice. So my two favorite cuts I'll use in a walk-around situation. First, and again, you probably are familiar with this, but I use this all the time. This is a double undercut, where I kick a portion of the top cards. It's a kick cut with my right first finger, kicks them over, take it into the left hand. Put these on top for a moment, and while I'm putting them up, maybe make it look like I'm squaring them up, I keep a break with my thumb between this first packet that came around and the rest of the cards. Then I'm going to give the cards two more cuts. I'm going to do that by riffling the bottom, a half, or basically some of the cards from here, right into my left hand, put those on top, and then all the cards above the break, put those on top. It really looks like I'm just giving the cards a couple of cuts, but boy, you don't alter the order of the cards whatsoever. Another approach is this thing. And I've been doing this forever. I love teaching this to my students. And all I'm doing here, this is a total bluff, is I'm taking the cards from the bottom. And it doesn't have to be a perfect half deck, it could be a third, whatever. A packet of cards off the bottom, okay? Take them from the back, swing, and this is sort of swinging clockwise, or this comes around, drop, and then these drop. So I'm actually just taking the bottom packet, okay? Going around, putting the bottom packet on the bottom and the top on top. So there's no actual cut that happens. But after this process where they touch a card, oh, you want to change your mind? How about one of these? Okay, boom, I'm going to give you a quick peek at the card. Okay, and they see the card there like this. Square it in like this. After that process, boy, it looks like you just cut the pack. But I haven't altered the order at all. Okay, so I'm here. Like that. First phase, touch the card, they looked at the card, everything looks so fair, put it back inside, they had an absolutely free choice. Next stage, I say, look, I've got 4 different color markers here, and I gotta warn you, they're magic markers, thank you, they're actually invisible. And I take them out, and I say, I've got gray, black, red, and purple. And I put them down, and as I put them down, I make sure I mention them again, and I'll even say to people, so remember, it's gray, black, red, purple. You get to choose, okay? Gray, black, red, or purple, which one do you want? And let's say I say reach on over and pick up any one. Now, what I try to do is I don't want, once they pick it up, I don't want to then ask them This is the key. I don't want to, just like I don't want to ask them to name their card, I don't want to ask them to name their color, you know. That's why I really want to go gray, black, red, purple. Say that a few times, and when they reach over and you say, no, this is to test your mime skills, I want you to slowly reach over and you pick up either the gray, the black, the red, or the purple. That way, I've repeated a few times. I say slowly pick it up, and when they do, and let's say they pick up the first one, okay, the gray, and I make sure they're not too close together, wide apart, okay? When they pick up one, I don't have to ask them, so you took the gray, okay? It's obvious they took the gray, and everybody else sees that too, and that's important because sometimes people, if they've been drinking, they might get confused with the color as well. So gray, black, red, and purple. I want you to reach over and pick up any one you want. Okay, and let's say they pick up the gray. Then I say to them, look, I'm going to give you another chance to show off your miming skills. Is I want you to write in the air directly in front of you with your marker, okay? I want you to write a classic, typical geometric shape, a common one. Let's go with like a triangle or a circle or a square, or how about a star or a heart? Okay, let's stick with those. A triangle, a circle, a square, a star, or a heart, one of those, okay? So notice that when I present it to them and I say, you know, let's go with the classic one, and I sort of do it in a meandering way. Let's go with a triangle, or later on, people will swear. This is what I like, but leaving the doors and windows open in the trick. People will swear that they could have thought of any geometric shape in the world. Any of the classic geometric shapes. They don't remember that you kind of controlled it down to 5. And this is the great thing about that free choice, because they have a totally free choice of it. And the free choice of that really leaves the impression that they had a broader free choice than they really did. Okay? So I say triangle, circle, square, or star or heart. And I say, go ahead, do that. And they do it now. So let's say they go with a triangle. Okay, so I know right now, and then let's, you know, they're going to do and you say, do it very slowly, okay, very clean. And then after they do it once, I always say, I don't mean to embarrass you, but you might want to take the cap off that invisible marker first. So that old gag. So they take off the cap and they do it again. So if you didn't clearly get a chance to see it the first time, exactly which one it is, without asking them which one you're doing, then they do it again, and now you get to really see that triangle. And you'll once in a blue moon, I mean like 3 times a year, I'll come across someone who is trying to be tricky, or again, been drinking a bit, whatever, and I don't quite get it on the second time. So in that case, I say, wait a second. I say, I want you to do it one last time, and this time really press. Imagine you're pressing the tip of the marker against a piece of cardboard. Okay, and I set this up cycle. Imagine you're pressing it, okay, one last time. And almost always, I say slowly, okay, almost always, really concentrate. By then, 99.99% of the time, I know the shape, whether they're drawing a circle, whether they're drawing a square, whether they're drawing a heart, right? Boom. Or whether, of course, if I see they're doing something kind of intricate with a lot of points to it, I know it's going to be the star, okay? So I haven't asked them what the card is, but they had a totally free choice. I haven't asked them which color they picked up literally, but they had a totally free choice. And I haven't asked them what shape they're doing, but it was a totally free choice. And still, at this point, I know it's the gray triangle. All right? So they've done all that. Then I come back to my prediction. I say, now, I've mentioned this prediction. This is my prediction. And I've got to be honest with you. The process you just went through, I went through the exact same process the other day. The exact same process, but with a different deck of cards. See, what I did is just like you. I spread out the cards in front of me, and what I did is I took one card out of the pack, and I grabbed a marker as well. So I took one card out of the deck, okay? And then I had a bunch of markers on the table, 5 or 10 markers, and I grabbed a marker, okay? And then I started thinking of geometric shapes. And what I did, and this again, and keep in mind, you could have touched any card in this pack, I think you'll agree. Touched any card, picked up any marker, right? And at the same time, you chose the shape. I think everyone will agree that's fair. So I took a card out, okay? And I want you to see there's only one card inside here. I took a card out, I grabbed a marker, and I drew a shape. And if what you want, if you can hand this out and have somebody, you could hand out the envelope now at this point. They can see there's only one card inside. And you say that for the very first time, what was your card? They say, they name the card. What was the shape you had in mind? Okay, then they name the color. And when you turn this over, and people see very fairly, okay? Everything's legit. They see it matches the card they chose. It matches the color they chose. It matches the shape they chose. This is what makes this undeniable. So for the handling here, of course, at the very end, and at the end of this instructional video, this tutorial, I'm going to share with you a few more ideas here. But all I did was I mimed in saying that, this is where presentation is so important. I said to them, okay, you chose the color you wanted, the card you wanted, the shape you wanted, and I gotta say, I did the same thing. Key line, I did the same thing. And what you want it to look like is you're basically going, the other day, I went through the cards, and I freely chose a playing card. I did, and I took the card out, and I actually put the card in there. And it's as you spread these cards out, of course, what am I doing? I'm just spreading, oh, there's my double backer. There we go. I fooled myself there. I'm just spreading out my cards, looking for, of course, whatever shape and color matches. Whatever shape or color matches. As soon as I see that, I don't necessarily clearly bring it to the top, though you could. You said, I did the same thing. I went through the pack of cards. I took out one card, and then I took that card, and I put it inside the envelope. Or I took out that card, and I drew on the face. Then I put it inside the card. So you could do it very explicitly, or just spread through the cards as you're looking at the cards. I went through, and I sort of went back and forth and changed my mind a few times, and finally I decided on a playing card. And as I say, I decided on a playing card, I just break the spread there, gesture, decided on a playing card, bring the cards back, and I've cut the card to the top. So you can do it either subtly by talking about the recap, or you can do it more explicitly, right? Like I said about taking a card, I took out one card, you could do it more explicitly. All right, so either way, what I did was able to get the card, and as we know, it was the triangle with the gray. I was able to get that to the top of the deck, right? Now, someone's been holding on to the double backer card here like this, with the envelope here. Once I get it to the top of the deck, all attention's here. And while all attention's here, I'm going to get ready for my double lift. And all I'm going to do is push off the top card and keep a little break with my pinky, okay? You can do that. You can do that even here as you bring this down and put this down. You can, as you're putting it down, you can get your break like that in a second, or you can have someone hand it to you. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity for you to just do this very small gesture of a push and pull back, okay? Then you're here. Now, what you don't want to do for this to flow, okay? You don't want to take this out, ideally. Put this down, or take this from somebody who might turn it over. Put it on top of the deck and turn it over, because it's counterintuitive. If it's here, you'd normally turn it like this, okay? Why are you putting it on top before turning it over? It's the kind of thing that on an unconscious level can make people suspicious. But if you open it up, okay, and show everybody inside there's a card, and you pour this onto the deck, it makes sense that now, okay, only one card was inside. You can show everybody, okay? So it makes sense that you're holding this in this hand. Spilling it out like that makes much more intuitive sense. Put that down on the table or have someone take a look at that. Now, I just square up the cards and do my double lift. And because it's a double back card, when I turn that over, I can immediately push it off. I don't have to do a wrist kill or anything. Immediately push it off. Boom, like this, hand that out. And it's just a thing of beauty. It's absolutely convincing. It just looks so good. Okay, some last ideas I want you to consider. Lots of options here. Because you have 20 different choices here, okay? You can really do so many different kinds of things with this. For example, just throwing this out here, if you were willing to give up the markers, the color of the markers, a person could choose any card and literally name any number between 1 and 20, and that could be your prediction, right? Any number between 1 and 20. They could say 2, they could say 14, they could say 12. Any number they announce out loud, they touch any card, and a second later, you show that you predicted not only which card they touched, but the number they were going to say, the freely chosen number between 1 and 20, okay? And all you do there, of course, is rather than setting these up with the colors and the shapes, is you take the 20 cards and write 1 to 20 on all the duplicate cards, right? And then do the exact same handling. All right, so there's a lot of, whether you're going to use, you could use people's names, you could use letters from the alphabet. You'd have to narrow it down a little bit, maybe, forget about the vowels, there's so many, there's only a few of them. Any consonant you want, so you could do it that way. So there really is a lot of different choices you can do with these force cards. But personally, I've messed around with a bunch of them, but my favorite, which is why that's the performance I share on the demo for this trick, is I think the rule of 3 is so powerful. Touch a card, choose a visible color, write a shape. So I think that's so strong. But I wanted to mention that to you. Another thing is, if for whatever reason, it's so important when performing magic, and lift this up here, it's so important that you stick with things that are comfortable for you. Okay, it's really important. You really want to stick with stuff that's comfortable for you. That'll translate into a better performance. And if, let's say, I mean, I do this all the time, going through and saying, and that moment where I say, well, I did that the other day. I went through the pack of cards and I kind of narrowed it down. I narrowed it down to one card. But in fact, I think you'd agree you could have chosen any card. And so I cut the cards right in front of them, bringing my card to the top that I need, and I feel comfortable doing that. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I want to give you another option. And that is, let me get myself set back up here again, is you could do it face down with pencil dots, right? And this is something with the setup decks people have been using for a long time, is what you could do is, this first group, for example, down here, my first group is, in this case, is I've got my hearts, okay? I've got my 4 colors and my hearts. So on the back of 1, 2, 3, 4, I could put a pencil dot here, little pencil dot in the corner there and in the opposite corner there of that bottom card. And then again, the next 4 cards and pencil dot, pencil dot. That way, when I spread out the card and say, remember, you could have taken any card. That way, let's say it's the second set, the third card in the second set, and I know the order, so I'm right here. When I say, you remember, you could take it on any card, I spread till I see that, keep a little break under, and then I can double undercut the selection right to the top, the one I need right on top. So don't look at the face of the cards, I'm just looking at the tiniest pencil dots that no one will ever see. So that's another way to get your card to where you want it to do. When I perform this trick, about half the time I switch decks. I've used my ordinary red deck of cards, had it shuffled and cut, and people examine the card, done a couple of sign cards, whatever, and then I'll put the cards away, okay? Put them in my pocket or put them on my case, and then I'll do something with a borrowed item, a dollar bill, mentalism, something. Maybe I'll do sponge balls or rubber bands or a million other kinds of tricks like that, something. Might do devil's tail, my rope and ring stuff. But whatever, then sometimes I'll say, do you want to try one last thing? But this last thing, it's not about what I do, it's all about what you do. And I take out the cards, and they assume this is the same deck, but I've switched in my setup deck. So I do think there's something to be said for, people do want to examine cards, they are suspicious, so I don't think you have to. And when I'm doing a stand-up show, and I want to mention that this trick works not just close-up, it also does a beautiful job stand-up. As long as you get someone there to telegraph the exciting moments and freely chosen, someone up on stage, choose an invisible marker. There's so much audience interaction here in the drawing of this shape, so the people at the back can see it very clearly. There's so much audience interaction and sort of fun interplay that it plays well in a stand-up show too. So keep that in mind, all right? Now, so here. As I was saying, so what you could do is you could switch decks, okay? But I don't think you have to, but I think there's something to be said for that, switching the decks. Another thing I wanted to share with you is I've got all my setup cards where they should be at the top half of the deck. Notice, I can use the turnover pass if I want, all right? And the way you could use that is you could have all of these on top of the deck, so that your setup's on the bottom now, all right? And you could say, in a moment, I'm going to go through the cards, and I'm going to ask you to touch one of these cards, and you're spreading and flashing all these different faces until you come to your first card setup, and this is where you definitely want to use a pencil dot. Where's my first card setup? Is there. Okay. So I've got a pencil dot on my top 8 of hearts. Okay. That way I can spread through, and say in a second I'm going to ask you to touch a card, okay, like this. Then as I turn these cards over, okay, I'm going to do a turnover pass. Now this is an advanced move. Okay? Definitely source it somewhere else. You'll find it on my Inside Deception training site, or turnover pass, you'll find it in a classic card magic book. What that allows me to do, though, is notice that I can show all of these. So you can basically show the same half of different cards twice, and nobody will ever notice. First, you show them in the top, saying I'm going to go through the cards, have you touch a card when you want, get down to my pencil dotted 8. Then I square these up, and in the action of turning them over, okay, and say, now I could spread through and you could touch it face up, but let's do them face down. So using the turnover pass like that, you're able to show the same batch of half cards twice. That kind of works well too. Notice too another handling for this. You could do this a little differently. You can have no gimmick card, okay? And you can have this on the table from the beginning. This is my prediction in here. And when you're down to the moment where you've got the card you want on top of the deck, now what you can do is show this front and back, okay? Say, remember, you could have taken any card, come over here, okay? And I've stolen the card beneath. So this means it gets rid of the duplicate. Now, this is, again, just an option. I would always, not the duplicate, the gimmick card. I would always use the gimmick card. But Here I can show the envelope, take it from somebody and say, remember, he could have taken any card, or I don't know if you guys remember the color he chose, but you sort of put this here to free up your hand, then come back and take the envelope back, and you've got the card below. Then the deck goes into your case, whatever, like this, and you can finish either in a stand-up setting by apparently reaching in and pulling out the card. Looks great, okay? And I hold it up like this, and it's just on the back. My thumb's on here, my fingers are inside, and I pull my thumb and fingers to the right at the same time. And you would swear that was in there, right? Or hold it down here, okay? And rather than put your fingers here, up here, if it's close up and you're just going to hold it down here, the thumb goes in, okay? The fingers are here, and you pull it out like that. Or you can combine the two too. Notice you can have your gimmick or an indifferent card in there, and you can open this up and people can see, okay, here's a card coming out, right? And now is when you can sort of push that in while pulling this out at the same time, and you get that too. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. That's another way to go with that, okay? So that's it. The turnover pass, steal a card from below. Instead of symbols, you could use other things, numbers. And instead of, I wanted to make sure I mentioned to you, instead of having to spread and cut to the card in front of them and cover it with a presentation, you could use the pencil dots. All different ways. Ultimately, you got to try them. Try what you think will feel best for you. And yeah, it's just a powerful trick.